Hello boys and girls, it's Ant here, doing something a little bit different. I'm going to do one of those E3, vlog things. Check out what's happened. This one is focused on the Microsoft conference that they just did. Literally, just finished about 20 minutes ago, and I'm going to record and say words about it, see how it goes. Never done anything like this. I've written out, you can do the paper, I've written out a list of everything that happened during the show, and some of it bored me to tears. So, let's go through it. There was some good stuff. I'm not going to sit here and just be like, oh, the whole thing was boring. They didn't do a Call of Duty demo, so, I would have fallen asleep, and this would have never got made if that happened. So anyway, let's start. We'll go from the top, and I'm going to work my way through everything that happened at the event, and there was some stuff that I really liked the look of, and some stuff I was like, eh. So, first off, Halo 5 Guardians was showing off with the Warzone multiplayer. Halo 5 looking quite nice. It's not looking mind-blowing graphically, and it started a trend that was for the night, which has occurred on a lot of the games, of just scripted sequences of things blowing up while you run along. I didn't see any lightning bolts in this one, but the Tomb Raider and the Gears of War one they did later, spoilers, Gears 4, lightning bolts everywhere, just, but stuff blowing up, and it seems to be becoming a bit too much of a trend. It's kind of like, it's something that really kicked off with the Uncharted games, this whole scripted running through the environments thing, and it's kind of got dull, I think, now. It's not really gameplay. You're kind of just holding a direction, occasionally reacting to a jump prompt or something, or, when I say a jump prompt, I mean, when to jump, you just hit jump, but you're in a scripted jump, and then, a scripted climb and all this sort of stuff, and loads of games are doing it, and Halo wasn't as bad, but this Halo 5 one, it's looking quite nice, but it didn't seem like it was focusing on what makes single-player part of Halo good to me, which is the combat against varied AI. All the enemies had different ways of fighting, and you work around them. They seem to focus more on the special effects and explosions, which is a bit Michael Bayish. The multiplayer, though, that sounds interesting. The whole team versus team and AI in there. I quite like multiplayer games that chuck in AI as well. I think that's kind of an interesting approach, and it's becoming a lot more common now with the rise of MOBAs and Team and Titanfall. So yeah, I'm liking the look of that Warzone mode. I don't know if I'll play it. I probably will play it. If I can get an Xbox One by then. I don't have one. Anyone want to send me an Xbox One? Nah, I didn't think so. Right, next game on there was Recore, which is a new one. Hadn't heard of this before. I'm guessing it's only just been revealed. Run by Keiji Inafune, which is quite interesting. Trailer was one of those CGI thingies, and just showing you the basic idea of the game, where there's a little robot dog thing, and it fights some monster things that turned up, and there's a girl shooting at him, and the dog dies, and she acts all upset, but she's already met a robot there, and she just puts the core in it, and the robot comes to life, which kind of makes the whole tension of her being upset about it blowing up not really matter, because she obviously knew she could just chuck that core in the robot. But whatever, it seems like the whole basis of the game, and seems it's called Recore, is that your robots get destroyed, and you can bring the robot AI into another the robot. I guess that's kind of interesting. I like the sound of that. The news that got the biggest reaction through the whole thing, I think, but the biggest instant cheer, was the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, which is long overdue. Should have been there from the start. Bit worried that it's the same as how it was handled on Xbox 360, where it was basically just certain games. That's always a bit worrying, software based. Just there should have been a straightforward boom straight from the start and working. But yeah, it's emulation, so it can't be everything at once. It needs to be handled differently. But still, it's really good to see, and it does seem like, I'm guessing from their suggestions, what they were saying, that you're going to be able to re-download any games that you purchased on Xbox 360, so that'll be good. So yeah, that's interesting, that, because that's one thing I thought should have been there from the start, is the ability to transfer everything you got on your 360 to the Xbox One. I always thought that would have been the a killer way to move people over, was to say, here's the Xbox One, and you can just chuck all your games on here and carry on playing as if nothing's changed, and then buy a new Xbox One game. But no, they didn't do that, did they? But they're getting there, it seems like. One thing I like the look of was the Elite Pad they revealed. Interchangeable parts. There's certain gamepads that have done that already before now, but it's quite nice to see one of the big companies do one of their own. It's got those little triggers underneath, which are good for quick reactions and stuff like that, and you can change the way the shoulder triggers React, which I thought was really nice. It looks like quite a cool pad. I quite like the look of that D-pad joystick thing. D-pads, little cross pads. So few companies get them right, they're usually not worth it. I prefer a joystick style D-pad nowadays, especially for fighting games. That looks like it'd be great for doing like quarter circles and stuff on Street Fighter, because that's always been a problem for me with the rise of fighting games when they came back a couple of years ago and became popular. Freaking control pads aren't suited for them. Fallout 4 was there. Yeah, that was on the Bethesda show. Looks really cool. Doesn't look as graphically amazing as some other games do, but it is also a much grander, wider scale game. Probably not going to be. I did quite like... What have I written down on here? Fallout mods. Yeah, that's it. My handwriting's terrible. I can't even read my own handwriting. Fallout mods. PC Fallout mods are going to be compatible on Xbox One. That's really quite cool. And that's interesting that they're allowing that. Bethesda have always been quite good with mods, especially like Skyrim on Steam and stuff like that. Whether they'll be paid for or not, that's a question we'll want to know. Seeing as they were the first person to start pushing paid for mods on Steam, and that went wrong. But also, one thing though, it didn't even get mentioned. You get a copy of Fallout 3 with Fallout 4. That's quite cool. There seems to be a running theme with this. There was another game later that gave a free game away. EA came out. They said some stuff about access. Said Titanfall's coming on there. I think one person clapped. Said Dragon Age Inquisition was coming on there. Didn't give them a chance to react. Dragon Age Inquisition being on that EA Access service is pretty cool. I mean, you can put down £5 now and play Dragon Age Inquisition, like, you know, straight away. They also mentioned that it's going to be free to everyone for a month right now. They're giving a free trial of it, which is quite cool. I mean, EA Access, it's a nice idea. Only £5 a month isn't much, and you get access to a whole bunch of games. So that's a pretty cool thing. Be interested to see where that goes. They announced Plants vs Zombies 2 Garden Warfare 2. Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2. Say it right, whatever. Plants vs Zombies is a really fun game. It was another CGI trailer. That's a running theme today. Plants vs Zombies is a fun game, but I kind of feel like it should have been a free-to-play game. It even has some free-to-play mechanics in there with buying, you know, items and stuff like that, or at least shouldn't have been sold at full price. And every time I've played it on PC, it's been a bit haphazard whether you get a decent server or not. But it's a really fun game. Deserves a bit more attention. It's kind of what Battlefield Heroes probably should have been. But yeah, that's interesting. Forza 6 was revealed. They brought Henry Ford III out on stage. They showed some cars. I love Forza Motorsport, but nothing interesting in that. Nothing interesting at all. Didn't even mention Drivatars as far as I remember. Dark Souls 3 was revealed. Not my sort of game. I've played Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 and played a bit of them, and I can see why people love them, don't get me wrong. They're really cool games, but I just can't get into them. I think there's something about the pace of it that drags me down. I like something a bit more, not necessarily faster paced, but kind of a bit more exciting. I don't know, people love Dark Souls though. I think if I actually spent some time and properly played it, I'd get much more into it. I think Bloodborne might be more my jam, if I can get that. The Division, they showed another CGI trailer of that. That's how many CGI trailers in a row now? Like 5. The Division looks nice, but yeah, not really much going on. They're not really telling us much about it. They're just showing us another trailer. They showed us gameplay previously, and now it's a CGI trailer. It's kind of weird. It feels like a step back. There's something a bit of a Freedom Fighters vibe, rather. I'd be interested in seeing a new Freedom Fighters. That'd be nice. But we won't get that, will they? There's also a beta coming in December. Rainbow Six Siege was then Ubisoft went on about. Again, that's probably going to be quite an interesting multiplayer thing. They showed another gameplay trailer, not a real gameplay trailer though. It's all scripted events most of the time, these gameplay trailers. I mean, more scripted than the gameplay in that Halo bit. Interesting enough. I think people are going to probably love it. It'll be interesting how it goes. It is more like what the original Rainbow Sixes were. I can see that. Ubisoft, stop putting bloody actors calling out what they're doing. You know, it sounds stupid. Gigantic. It's a free-to-play game that's coming out. Looks like a sort of multiplayer battle game. Cartoony. Seems to be quite cool. I like that sort of thing. Coming out on Windows 10 as well. There's going to be a beta of that in August. Since it's a free-to-play game, I'll probably cover that. A whole bunch of indie games were shown, just, you know, the usual sort of ones that are building up, coming up now, all mysterious shots, don't really focus on it too much, but they did go and show, focus on a few. There was one called Tacoma, which is from the developers of Gone Home. That looks kind of interesting. I'm getting a bit of a vibe of the PS1 game Sentinel, which no one remembers. Was it Sentinel or was it Sentient? It's been a long time since I played it, but it was a game where you're on a space station practically alone wandering around, and I kind of get a bit of a vibe from that. I was interested. There was a game from called Ashen, which didn't show anyone reviewing anything, which was weird. But yeah, no one had faces in that. Very strange. Don't know what to make of that. Another trailer that's not gameplay, just, you know, an idea trailer, which they all seem to be. Beyond Eyes, which looked a bit more interesting. You can get an idea what the gameplay was on that, actually. You're playing a character who's blind, and you only see what makes a sound or what you can feel, and I quite like that. I'd like to see that mechanic used in a Daredevil game, in a bit more of an action-packed way. But that actually looks interesting, Beyond Eyes. That's a nice idea. I believe there was another developer was making a game very similar, and they've had to sort of push ahead with that. Cuphead was next up. That looks beautiful. Glad to see they've seemed to have ditched all the racist stereotype images that were present in the previous trailer. I think last time they chucked them in for authenticity, and then maybe they realised that doesn't really work today. You know, it's like you can't get away with chucking gollywogs on stuff, can you? That's, yeah, racism. Can't do that. But Cuphead looks stunning. That sort of animation, those sort of effects works, that's not easy to do. That's very good. I'm liking the look of that. I'll probably have to give that a try when it's out. I've written down here, early access. Microsoft's doing an early access type thing called Game Preview. It's not really early access. I think people are going to knee-jerk a lot to this. It looks to me like it's just going to be a marketing thing. Like it's literally going to be a case of try the game early and they'll patch it along and then it's released. Kind of like how Elite Dangerous came out in early access and it was already fully planned for final release. Elite Dangerous is out now. You can go and try that now on Xbox One. That's a very good game. Give it a go. But yeah, this is more. I think this isn't going to be the case where you're going to see games that are in horrible alpha states, nowhere near working. You're not going to get a Pro Wrestling X on this, which came out on Steam Early Access last November and still hasn't been updated. Might have been by the time I get this uploaded. Who knows? Probably not. There was a game called Ion. What was that? I wrote down Ion. Oh yeah, that was that game where it showed you a trailer and you don't really get anything from it. The guy who made DayZ came out, talked about biology and molecules for a bit. I have no idea what that trailer was doing. Didn't really conjure up any images of anything. Just showed space and then someone in a plastic bag, which, you know, I mean, some people like being put in plastic bags. I understand there's a fetish for that, but whatever. Rise of the Tomb Raider. This was actually, let's see, the first on-stage gameplay demo of the night. Blimey, yeah, that was true, because Halo was just, they said gameplay demo. It was a gameplay demo. Was it a gameplay demo? It didn't look like it. It looked it's one of those ones where it was incredibly scripted. But this Rise of the Tomb Raider bit was very scripted. It was pretty much a cutscene. Looked very pretty, don't get me wrong, and looks action-packed, but there was literally like 5 seconds of movement of Lara Croft between every scripted event that was kicking off. Lots of running along while snow comes crumbling down and jumping over gaps as they come to you, which we've done, sliding down a hill, exactly the same as you did in the last Tomb Raider. The game's probably going to be a fun game, but there needs to be less of that and more actual gameplay. It segued into a trailer at the end, which did show the one thing that was really missing from the last Tomb Raider game, and that was tombs. Looks like there's a lot of tomb raiding to do in this game, which is going to be more interesting, because to me the essence of Tomb Raider isn't scripted action sequences and it isn't big shooty, you know, gunfights with knee-high walls everywhere. It's exploring an environment and working your way through like a room-sized puzzle. That's Tomb Raider to me, and hopefully that's got it. Yeah, why do they show those scripted sequences? That doesn't affect us now, really. It's like special effects in movies. Like I said, you're not wowed by them anymore. When you first saw Jurassic Park, you were wowed and went, ooh, that's amazing. But now Jurassic World comes out, the effects are multiple times better than Jurassic Park's, but people are still going to go, it's not impressive anymore. That's what I'm getting at. Those sequences, those scripted sequences are the equivalent of movie special effects. They're just CGI effects. It's big and flashy for a while, but then it gets dull. Rare Replay was announced, which is 30 Rare games chucked into a collection. That looks interesting. Didn't see what games exactly were in there. They showed a bunch of them, like Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day. Probably going to be the versions they did for Xbox 360, I imagine, the original Xbox. Saberwolf was in there. I assume Jetpack going to be in there, seeing as that was on Xbox 360. Battletoads was there. RC Pro-Am, which was a great game. I saw Snake Rattle and Roll, which is another great game. One I didn't see was Night Law and Attic Attack. I would really hope they're in there. They're two very early Rare games from when they were called Ultimate Play the Game on the Spectrum, and Attic Attack is legitimately one of their best games ever made. Didn't notice Grabbed by the Ghoulies on there. That's an interesting one. But I will have to have a look at the video. I'll show it on here. I'm going to be chucking the videos up in here, so maybe you can see a couple of logos that I missed. Maybe Grabbed by the Ghoulies was there and they made no fuss about it. Viva Pinata was there. That's a great game. Be interesting. I'll see if I can get a full list of all the games and see what's on there, because that's a really good collection. That's actually the sort of thing that might make me buy an Xbox One. They then showed off a new game from Rare called Sea of Thieves. No sign of avatars. Actually a game. Apparently it's a free-to-play pirate-themed game, which I know someone who's going to wet himself over that. If it can conjure up some of the joy of Sid Meier's Pirates and, give us a little fun adventure thing to play with friends on MMO form, that would be quite a cool thing. I like the look of it. Lots of pirate battles and stuff. Fable Legends came up next. Yeah. Oculus Rift on Xbox. They're going to have Xbox compatibility with Oculus Rift, and every single one is going to come packed with a controller, which is weird, because didn't they show off a weird little two-handed controller thing the other day? The HoloLens Minecraft thing. Now, that was really cool. I think that was probably the highlight of the show, to be honest. Showing off the whole manipulating the world and causing lightning strikes down and marking areas for your friends to go to. Basically giving you... It's like an extension of being able to fly around and, have the access to the control panel and everything on Minecraft. Like it's a bigger scale version of that it's giving you. But that's not the only use for HoloLens, and I can't see people necessarily buying HoloLens just to do that. You have to show more practical things on it. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. I think it'd be quite cool if, maybe you could, look at a game cover on a game, and it'll start letting you play the game in a virtual reality environment. Maybe you could put the box up sideways and that'll act as the screen. You can play the game on that. That'd be quite cool. Three-dimensional stuff going on. Desktop access and stuff like that. Have the artwork thing come out and use your finger to paint and all that. That'll be cool. They announced Gears of War Ultimate Edition and everyone feigned shock and awe for a moment. It's the first Gears of War in HD remake, as they love to call it. It was in HD originally, so it's just a cleaned up version of Gears of War. Not Gears of War 2 and 3 or Judgment, oddly enough, just the first Gears of War, which, considering, you go over to the Sony conference tomorrow and they'll probably show a little bit of Uncharted HD collection. That's a bit odd. And the last thing, what they ended on, which was kind of, I think, a bit of a damn squid, because I don't think people care too much about this, was Gears of War 4. It did look different. It looked more like it's going to have a bit of a horror and action-adventure vibe to it than the, walk into a room full of, knee-high walls and crouch behind and shoot, which is literally what all the other Gears of War games were. You were literally just moving through a door and going to another environment like that. It looks like there's a bit more adventure going on, a bit of fun between the two characters, throwing their banter, as you say. When they go to get the cheeky nandos, they have the top bands. It seems a little bit more like an interesting game to me than Marcus Phoenix being gruff and moody and stuff. I did like that the first thing they chainsawed in that was a gate and not someone's face. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that comes out. It's definitely a little bit more interesting to me than the previous Gears of War games. I played the first two and was just after that. But yeah, that's how Microsoft chose to end the show. They showed off a lot of CGI trailers and a lot of what they called captured in real time on Xbox gameplay trailers and stuff. It's not really captured in real time if it's edited and it's various different pieces cut together and it's scripted, which they all were. Some of it was really interesting. The backwards compatibility on Xbox is really cool. That controller looks neat. Fallout 4 looks excellent. Don't know why it was on the Xbox show though, because they showed it off a load at the Bethesda show. Call of Duty was notable by its absence. But what gameplay was there? You saw the Tomb Raider one, which was scripted. The Halo 5 one, which was, again, very scripted. The Gears of War thing was very scripted. It was all extremely scripted sequences. While they're running along, stuff blows up around them and lightning bolts hit. And that's not the same as gameplay. I think sometimes they just need to, if they've got a multiplayer mode, run a 2-minute multiplayer game. Grab some people from the crowd and let them play if they're confident enough that their game demo's stable enough. But yeah, overall, it was decent. But I think Sony's going to have a bit more to show. There's rumours of Last Guardian being shown there. There's Uncharted 4 to show off, which people are going to want to see because that's going to be a big deal. And Sony have sort of come off some big years. This is nowhere near the disaster Microsoft has had previously, but I don't think it's as good as last year's show, which was very much, here's loads of games. No Crackdown was odd. No new Battletoads game. Again, Microsoft, get on with it. Battletoads, we want that. Just lots of trailers, though. That was the really weird thing. It really was a very sort of unexciting show. But yeah, it could have been worse. I will try to do a PlayStation 4 one and a PlayStation show one and the Nintendo Direct, reactions vlog type thing. But they won't go out straight away because the PlayStation show's on at 2 o'clock in the morning over here, and the Nintendo one, I think that's on while I'm at work. So I'll get them done as quickly as possible. Probably Nintendo one and then the Sony one, or maybe the other way around. Who knows? But like, comment, subscribe. Tell me if you think I should do more stuff like this. I don't tend to. I tend to just do straight up Let's Play videos. But yeah, E3 Microsoft show. If I was going to mark it out of 10, I'd give it a 6. A solid 6. It was average. There was some nice stuff. Gigantic looks pretty. I don't know what Iron was. Didn't show anything. Cuphead was probably the best looking game of the show. Like the most interesting looking. Rise of the Tomb Raider looks great, but again, I want to see something else than that. I want to see tomb raiding. But yeah, that's all for that. I'll catch you later. Bye.